Hi there, it's Tamra, the Judeo-Christian medium. I'm coming on a little bit early, just to make sure that I'm actually on time. It's hard having ADHD to be on time. So I want to fix the camera too. Um, and I'll wait for the room to fill up a little bit. Okay, there's a few people here. Hi, Hag. Hi, Danielle. How are you guys doing? It was a really nice, hi, Night Rider. It was a really nice day here in New York. It was really sunny and beautiful. I got some sun. Yay. I like that big smile. Um, so let me just introduce myself because I'm going to post this. I'm Tamra, the Judeo-Christian medium. So that means I am Jewish and Christian. I'm a disciple of Jesus. I am a medium and I discuss with Jesus what his messages were when he lived here in Israel before his crucifixion. What were his messages? They're still the same today. They were messages from God. Jesus, being a medium, was getting downloads, much like we all get today. And the downloads and the messages were just for the how do you say that? Israelites. Israelites. That's a hard one, guys. But anyway, the messages were the same. They were just messages to help the Jewish people have a better life, to enjoy their life more, to become what they were meant to become, to have better relationships, and just to have overall well-being. A lot of what was put in the Bible was, some of it was true, some of it has been exaggerated and misconstrued. And one of the most important things that, well, there's many, but one thing that Jesus is telling me right now, that he thinks is very detrimental to all of us, was the passage of that has been misunderstood, where many people think that we are just to pray and not hear what Spirit tells us. It's very unfortunate, guys. And hi, Alyssa. Oh, it's good. Also sunny and not too hot in San Diego. I love San Diego. I may end up in Southern California at some point. Okay, so let me not get too sidetracked because Jesus wants to make a point. That's the number one complaint that I get from people, is that they say that I'm going against the Bible and I'm a sinner, and the fact that I am a medium, they say that it goes against the Bible. And obviously, I don't feel that that is true. And that's something that puts people in a weakened position, especially star seeds. Jesus has told me that all star seeds have the ability to talk to the other side. You were born with that ability. And even reptilians also can use their intuition and all the different modalities. It's very complicated, but they can try to talk to Jesus and the archangels and God and their ancestors and try to get messages back. So, yeah, faith is very personal. I agree. We are all different. We've had different lifetimes. We have different galactic influences. We've had different traumas. So yes, I completely agree with you. I think we all are different. And Mr. Rogers always comes in. He said, that's why he always said, he said it was misconstrued. And if you've seen my Mr. Rogers video, he says he would tell the kids, you're all special. And what he meant was, you are all unique. And hola, Alicia, woof woof. But unfortunately, and this is going into my next topic, I want to talk about how trends, word of mouth, the internet, trying to be cool. Jesus says one of the biggest issues with reptilians that is infested into our society is ultimately reptilians want to be cool. They're the people who want to be hip. Did you ask Jesus why Jamie's so beautiful? No, I forgot. I'm sorry. I promise I'll ask him, okay? Sometimes, Alyssa, he also has his own agenda. He's been talking my ears off, and I have so many messages. James Arthur, okay. All right, I'll put that on my list. But before I get started, I've already launched into things. I want to introduce my spiritual team. And if you guys don't know who you want to pray to, or you would like to add people to your prayers, by all means, you can use my spiritual team. They're here. They would love for you to talk to them. And also, they would love for you guys to invite them to help you. A lot of people forget that. Invite them. I've told you all many times, one of the things that I said was, I was feeling lost, and I said, thine will be done. I said, please, I don't really know what to do next. Please help me to do what it is that I came here to do. And my life changed within a couple of months. So anyway, the Israelites. Okay, I know how to say that, but sometimes I really get tongue-tied. Okay, so let me introduce my spiritual team. We have God all around us, our Creator, Jesus to my right, Archangel Michael next to him, Archangel Metatron on my left. He likes to be just called Metatron. He's really cash. Archangel Eric Medhus. Archangel Gabriel sits in front of me. Mother Mary is on my right. Father Joseph on my left. In a semicircle, we have Archangel Sandalphon, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Azrael, Archangel Jophiel, Archangel Uriel, which is me, Archangel Jeremiah, Archangel Raguel, Archangel Chamuel, Archangel Ezekiel, Archangel Haniel, and Archangel Daniel. And when he's joking around, he calls himself Daniel McDaniel, and he's hilarious. Anyway, this is my whole spiritual team. I've been very busy, guys, but I have a list of videos that I'm going to make, and I will address each person in my spiritual group, how I know them, what they're about, who they are, um, who they've been when they've come here, the whole 9 yards. But I hope you guys are thinking of questions too. I know I'll ask about James Arthur. So, okay. Whew, I'm getting all worked up, and I got a lot of sun today. So let me look at I wrote down questions all week. Well, I wrote down not questions, but I wrote down, what Jesus has talked about. So he talked a little bit about, but not in depth, the CERN. Some of you asked me about CERN. It is a group of mad scientists that opened up a portal. Guys, portals are real. They opened up this portal, and I'm so glad that someone asked that, because I get caught up in my own world and my own interests. So I don't really watch TV. I just watch things on YouTube that I like. So I'm really glad you guys asked me questions, because I didn't know about CERN. But yes, a portal. Thank you, Alicia. Israelites. I should know how to say that. I say it right in my head. So a portal was opened, and it was opened by mad scientists. And guys, especially if you are a starseed, well, everyone needs to be really careful, because it did give an opening for the dark reptilian energy to come through stronger from the fourth dimension. But Jesus said that it's also helped them come through. So it's really important for all of us to do our spiritual work, do what it is that we've come to do, to protect ourselves from the dark reptilian energy, because there is more of an influence because of that, from all of the groups, from the Pleiadians, Arcturians, tall whites, and reptilians, and dark reptilians. Like I've said before, not all reptilians are dark. Okay, so I can make a whole video on CERN. I'd have to do more research and obviously talk to Jesus more about it, but it is a thing to be concerned about too. So Jesus has talked to me about a few things, about trends, like trends and how they get started, and some of the misconceptions that we have. So many people think that there are whole groups of people that are trying to depopulate the earth. And so in a way, it's true, but in a way, it's not. So like Jesus brought up Bill Gates. So he says that Bill Gates is not trying to depopulate the earth. He's a little kooky. He's a tall white, but he has good intentions. But sometimes we're feeling an energy, and it is happening, but it's not exactly in the way that we think. So what happens is a lot of reptilians, especially reptilians that are in charge, they're really prone to group think. I mean, we all are prone to that, but they really get caught up in groupthink. And sometimes they just don't want to go deeply about a subject. So if they are in a position of power, they will just go with the status quo. And I can directly speak of Joe Biden. He's actually the perfect example of a reptilian in power. He will just do what the masses say, and he's not a deep thinker. So, with this population myth, first of all, Jesus is saying that we are not overpopulated. There was a news story today that we've reached something billion, but we are not overpopulated. This is a myth. There are certain areas of the world that are overpopulated, especially like in their cities, and that is human error. We were meant to spread, and if we all spread, there'd be plenty of room. I myself have been a world traveler, and you would not believe the vast amounts of land everywhere when you get outside of the cities. So what has happened is that that myth has been spread, and what it's done is it has created, especially in educated societies, it has created a desire to not have children or to have less children. And oh, hi, Riley. So that is not good. Jesus does not think that that is a good trend. In combination with other trends, like let me just look here and see what he said. But in combination, if you combine a lot of the trends and the exaggerated parts of the trends, um, it has had a detrimental effect on our culture and has made many people unhappy. Many people were meant to have children and haven't because of things, well, a combination of these trends. The woman's movement has been exaggerated, and what is it called, like equality. Jesus says men and women, okay, Jesus is saying, in order to be a true feminist, what that means is that you consider feminine qualities and masculine qualities to be equal, meaning like they're equally respected and equally valued. If you are trying your hardest to act very masculine, as I'm like wearing this baseball hat, but if you're trying your hardest to act very masculine, lowering your voice, trying to be what you think is, I don't know, trying to be what you think is a man. And Jesus says oftentimes it's like people are trying to emulate toxic masculinity, even. Hi, Valentina. Um, so if you are trying to act like more masculine than you are in order to be a feminist, that doesn't make sense. If you are naturally, some women are naturally masculine, um, especially women who like same sex, LBG, LBGTQ. Um, Many people identify more masculine or more feminine. But if right now Jesus is saying, like, everyone's trying to act masculine, And if it is in your nature to be masculine, that's great. But what's happening is, if it's not in your nature, it will make you miserable, and it can actually make you sick by messing up your hormones. And also the same thing if, we could use the term divine masculine, divine feminine, but if someone is born masculine and, they are taught that that's wrong and that they should act more feminine, that is also going to make them sick. It will, we are mind, body, and spirit. It will mess with the man's hormones and actually make them sick. And I discussed, last week a little bit about sacred sex, spiritual, sexual, relations. And Jesus wants me to make a whole video about that, about, like what would be good for us and what makes us sick. And, so I will get into that too. Do you guys have any questions about anything that I've said so far, or about, any of my other videos or anything, before I move on a little bit from this? Let me have some tea. I just launched right into everything. Jesus says the trends in our society are just so bad, guys. Like, people are doing things, eating and drinking and doing things that just goes against our nature. Oh, Hag, thank you for saying that, because sometimes I just feel like I'm talking to a void. I'm like, am I making sense? I actually usually say that in my videos. But yes, I mean, it's very hard to, I talk to my spiritual team all the time, so it's hard to whittle it down and explain it. But he says that we just do so many things that are against our best interest and against how we feel and what would make us feel good and what would make our lives better. He's also, right now, he's bringing up how a lot of spiritual people think that it's wrong to, make money, like to be wealthy. And he's saying that is not true. Think about this. If all of the star seeds decide, to live in poverty, and he said that was something that was misconstrued in the Bible, that if we all decided to live in poverty, well, money is power, that would be putting all of the power in reptilians' hands. And actually, that dynamic has shifted. And, Jesus is saying that that is one way that the reptilians have taken power, is that, a lot of star seeds have opted out of, trying to be successful, trying to make money. They see that as, like something that only, bad people do. But many spiritual people have caught on to this and have realized, like, money is not just power. It's our health. It's our well-being. It determines, how many children we can have. Can we live in a healthy environment? How much control do we have over, our safety, and, even the type of food we eat and all of that stuff. Um, and Jesus says, we got to a pretty good point, and where there was a balance, where people were making decent money. Now, everything was not perfect, but he's saying, like, the 70s and 80s in the United States and beyond, we were getting to a place where there was a better quality of life. And I do understand in some cultures and some races, they weren't feeling that. but this is sort of an idea and a generality. And I'm actually going to do, I've talked to Ronald Reagan a little bit. I'm going to do a video with him because he he is very upset at how his idea of the trickle down, how it was played out. And he does understand that it did have a detrimental effect on our culture. But JFK has said this, and I've told you guys that it depends on on our politicians and our society. Both have to do um, both have to follow the laws that we put in place, the political ideology that we have in place. It won't work if the politicians are corrupt. It won't work, and if the public is corrupt, it won't work. So Jesus is also blaming the word of mouth, trying to be cool, reptilians being in charge, and the internet. And Jesus especially is pointing to the abuse of the internet and how star seeds really, really need, and they are having like a comeuppance, and like oh, there's a new Ronald Reagan biography. I'll have to check that out. But what we're doing, guys, like me being on YouTube, I never thought I would be on YouTube, and all of the other spiritual advisors. We are making a difference, and you all can make a difference. And many star seeds are introverts, so it's been tough. It's been tough for us to come out of our shells and be public, but we have to now. But regular reptilians, they really, really want to be cool, but they are group minded and they do want their family to do well. So, what is working in our favor is many reptilians aren't doing well right now. And so they are turning to spirituality, they're turning to see what will work. And Jesus really wanted to talk about, guys, a marriage. He's saying a marriage between a starseed and a reptilian will not work. It can endure for a while, but it will not work. And reptilians can divorce and find another reptilian. It's much easier for them. If a star seed has been with a reptilian for a long time, especially a dark reptilian, which would be a narcissist, it's very hard for them to recover and trust. And so especially, guys, if you've ever been with a reptilian, just do everything in your power to find a star seed. And I'm sorry if I seem like I'm all over the place. They're all talking to me. I'm looking to see what you guys are thinking. I have my own thoughts, and they think very, very quickly. They have a lot to say. So I'm sorry if I just seem like blah, 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 blah. It all makes sense to me. I hope it's making sense to you guys. So let me look here and see. Yeah, Jesus said that starseeds are the parents of the universe, okay? And reptilians act at, like, if they're in charge, they're like the cool kids. They're more like the cool step parent, or the babysitter or the older friend, the older brother, sister. It's not good, guys. um, so are we needing to get our couch and start running for government positions? I would say if you have an inclination for politics, and you're clear in what it is that you want. Now it's very hard because we have just two major parties, and Jesus says there's issues with both. Right now he's really down on the Democrats. If we were to stay with this leader, we would not survive. So when it comes to like Trump and Biden, Jesus is more pro-Trump, but he also is behind many Democratic policies. So, but more Republican policies. But anyway, it takes both the society and the government. So what about a third party? Well, um, right now we don't have one. So I would have to go through all of the different. We'd have to go through the different laws and everything like that. Like what would make more sense, and, and figure out a new party from there. But what what will happen? Jesus is saying there's the realistic thing of what would happen and what we want to happen. Of course, we would just want to happen overnight, just like common sense, and to do the most empathic thing for society. And that would be, you know, what would be like a loving thing to do? What would make everyone's lives better? But so we can't really have a third party overnight in the States, but what we could do is vote for what we feel morally would be the right vote. Now, unfortunately, like I voted for Biden last time around because I've been a lifelong Democrat. I'm from Boston. Everyone there, not everyone, but like the majority of people there are Democrats, but the people there follow the laws. And so Massachusetts has been a very successful state, low divorce rate, high education rate, high income. So it was just natural for me just to follow that party line. And then when I started doing tarot and I started reading on Trump and Biden, and I was just shocked, guys. I was shocked at the difference between these two men. And I mean, could the Galactic Federation help with the third party? Oh yeah, groupthink. Okay. So, let me get back to you, Knight Rider, because that's a very complicated question. Um, the Galactic Federation is always trying to help us reach our highest good and protect us from the dark reptilian energy. So, essentially, they could help us, but it would be like a slow growing process. As you guys can see, I don't know if you guys were surprised, but and see Hag, I'll get back to groupthink. I don't know if you guys were surprised, but um, I started watching other tarot readers and mediums and star seeds make, I was watching their content while I was starting my own channel. And there were some people I was like, oh my God, like all these tarot readers are pro Trump. And I was like, trying to figure out why. And I'm like, what are they biased? Are they from the South? So then I started reading tarot and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting the same messages. So, anyway, so okay, let me go back to, yes, they're awakening. Yes, they're but it's different than like woke culture. At the same time in my life, organizations that I was a part of that were like super left, super liberal. I was just seeing all kinds of evil in the organizations and the way that they were really hurting people, killing people. Um, Someday I will make more videos in more detail about establishments that I was a part of because of things that I like to do. And I saw some of the worst evil from people who were so incredibly liberal. um, yeah, they're rational. Okay, so groupthink, guys. So reptilians naturally work in groups. Okay, so this is interesting. I was talking about some of the groups that I was in. So I um, I knew like a whole group of people and their mindset. The people who make sitcoms, who make TV, who get into making movies, and this is has a really bad influence on groupthink, guys, because a lot of the people that were getting into making TV were dark people, and a lot of them are bitter people. And so if you think of a lot of our shows, how they've influenced other groups. Well, I mean, they're not even just influencing. Reptilians are more easily influenced, but influencing us all. Like, just the themes that you'll see in sitcoms. And help me out, guys. A lot of these writers are like very bitter people. And I know this just sounds terrible, but if you think about how they're writing families, and there are really good shows too, but just a lot of you know the shameless and a lot of the just the darkness that we're seeing is influenced by that, by like making the dad really dumb, and the kids are smarter than the parents, and you know uh somehow the mom of the family like does everything and has the better job. um you know um there are things like that, and just how snarky everybody is. Like, you have to understand that they are, like, every episode they need to make interesting, so they'll have like just people at each other's throats, and that's transferred into real life. Like, people are becoming much ruder and aggressive and snarky. Well, it's like the bad behavior but without the humor. um we have to separate um memes and jokes on the internet from real life, because these things are being passed down into groupthink. Like, people are and I'm just going to be blunt, guys. We've got people are dying in nursing homes and in hospitals, and because of racism, ageism, people are being hurt because of this whole like boomer millennial fight. And I mean, a really really funny thing that's going on the internet is the whole fight between boomers and millennials. And then I'm Gen X. And so this is how crazy groupthink is, guys, that people have they actually don't even realize that there's a Gen X because of the fights going on the internet and boomers fighting millennials. So that's pretty nuts. Do you guys have any questions about that? That's an example of groupthink. And if we go back to also, let me have some tea. You guys have any questions? So if we go back to what I was saying before about like feminism and the feminist movement. Sorry guys, I'm so thirsty. And Jesus wants to bring up haircuts. That's a group think. That's group think. So Jesus is saying like many people are making themselves look ugly, like giving themselves these ugly masculine haircuts. Like people are getting butchered at the hairdressers. They're getting very masculine cuts, and their hair is getting shredded, and it's not in oftentimes in the feminine's best interest to have such a weird haircut. Now there's room for art in hair, and especially a lot of experimentation with the like with really young kids. And Jesus is saying Japanimation created trends for young kids to have their hair sort of swept off like that with the jagged edges. But what's happened is it's like taken over our senses, like um, uh, and there's this. How do I say this? Ooh, without just sounding really, politically incorrect. Jesus is just showing me um, male hairdressers just destroying women's hair. And he's saying there can be a subconscious, especially in an older male hairdresser. There could be a subconscious sort of jealousy, and just women really really need to protect. um you cut your hair. Well, Jesus has told me, like, when we're younger, like I was a tomboy. You can see sometimes I look sort of sporty. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a funky haircut. But many women are being pushed into looking very manly and acting very manly all the time, and hair is just one way that it's happening. It's like, hairdressers get bored, and female and male hairdressers get jealous of attractive women, and can end up giving them a very boxy masculine cut. And it's also very lazy, like this new trend of just the hairdressers cutting hair just straight across. So this isn't across the board, but that's something where groupthink has infiltrated. Um, there's just been so many trends like that, so many unhealthy trends. This idea of you're a better person if you put in overtime, like working yourself to death, both uh both couples, both people in a couple just sort of working themselves to death, and having a stranger take care of your child. These are trends. This is not across the board. Everybody has a different situation, but we need to find some balance. And the only reason why my spiritual team is bringing this up is because it's making people sick and unhappy. Do you guys have any other questions about anything I'm saying? Let me see um, what else that I wrote down. Yeah, Jesus definitely wants star seeds to find each other to marry. Um, the reptilians are growing in size, and uh, you know, another thing that Jesus is saying is different between, just like, say, an average reptilian, not even a dark one, and a star seed. Many star seeds don't know that many reptilians consider their friends to be competitors. So, especially, so if you had like a star seed from a narcissistic family, which is very, very common now, um, many star seeds might turn to reptilian office mates, co-workers, friends, to try to make them into like a family. And Jesus is saying that most reptilians just have a natural inclination, if they're not dark reptilian, to uh, protect and want their family to succeed, but they actually consider their friends to be competitors. That's like a natural state for them. So I don't know if many of you have felt like you were part of a group and they didn't have your best interest at heart. And maybe they weren't even dark reptilians. Like, that would be a narcissistic safe haven, would be a group where dark reptilians ruled. But maybe you're just friends with regular reptilians. And star seeds, starseed friendship is different. Starseed friendship is like what we're doing now. Like, I'm on here just trying to help you guys be your best self. Um, so that we can all like have a better life, be happier. Um, and this is how I've always been, like, since I was a kid, like in my conversations with people, in my friendships, and at work. I'm like, how can I help? Um, and you just have to be very, very careful, because not everybody thinks that way. Um, and some people could see you as being a doormat, being weak. And star seeds, for the most part, their natural inclination, the reason that we're here is to help. So if you can see how that's kind of a recipe for disaster, if you have one group and they consider friends to be their competitors, and you have another group that's like literally here to help, you can see how that would be um, not a good match. The reptilians could, take everything that you have to offer, your time, your energy, your money, your help, your assistance, and just really feel like they don't have to give anything back. And that's why Jesus would like you all to make sure that you are charging for your talent, um, for for your work. Of course, if you want to do charity work, Mother Mary is here. She did charity work. Also, my team has made a lot of mistakes. They gave too much of themselves, and yeah, Edgar Casey. There's actually a lot, CHAG. There's a lot of people that I need to learn about. I had my own special interest for years. I did acting, I did improv, I did writing, and I slowly got into tarot. So there are so many people that I don't know about. Like, I haven't even read The Secret. I There's so many big names that I haven't followed their work. But I will go and look up these people. But it's interesting that I've received a lot of the same information. Like, some people have told me, they're like, "Oh, Dolores Cannon says that," and I want to look her up, because I'm like, "Oh, wow, really? That's amazing." So what? Yeah. Okay. Your information about reptilians has changed. Oh my gosh. CHAG, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that, because it's changed my life too. Now I can't unlearn the information. And now, when I look in people's eyes, I can tell. And so it's given me like a healthy distance and an understanding of people in my past, understanding where I fit in all of this, and also a compassion, because there are just regular reptilians and they're here for a reason, and there's dark reptilians. But CHAC, it's completely changed how I date, and the information that Jesus has given me about being spiritual, sexual, and it's helped me accept myself, like how I need a deep connection in order to be physical with someone, and why they don't need that connection. Because the whole thing used to really, really upset me. And in New York is very intense. When I go out, there's a majority of people out like on a Saturday night, guys, and it's either like dark reptilians, or old frustrated starseeds. But there are so many men on dates with escorts, okay? And there are so many escorts sitting at the bar. So me being from Boston, like, we always went out in the summer. It's just natural. You go out, you listen to music, you have a couple of drinks. But when I go out in New York, it's just a landmine. It's very sad, but that's what's happening in our culture now. And that's a lot to unpack. I could do a whole video on that, but you have to think of reptilians. They don't need. Um, all I can say is, even though they are into groupthink, they tend to be family oriented in a way, but they can replace a spouse, because it's so hard to explain, but it's like, um, it explains so much of why people think that everybody's alike. So, for a reptilian, it could be a little closer to the truth, even though we're all different. for a reptilian to break up with one reptilian and date another reptilian who would be like part of the same class of people in the same group, they are going to probably have a more similar experience. But for, a starseed to go from being with a reptilian to a starseed, it's going to be night and day. And Jesus would really like more starseeds to get together. Too bad we didn't have like a starseed dating service, like wouldn't that be funny? Like only starseeds or only a reptilian dating service. But the majority, like the big influence in the culture right now is reptilian. It's starting to change a little bit. Possessions. What do you want to know about possessions, Seahag? Alyssa, I cut my hair too when I was younger. I also looked like a boy. um, but interestingly enough, many starseeds growing up are, what is that called when you have male and female traits? I can't think of the word. Do you guys know? But like I was a tomboy growing up, even though like I'm very feminine. I'm a divine feminine. I'm sure many of you are divine feminines. Androgynous, yes. I mean, I was a very sensitive kid, but thank you guys. Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, Valentina. Um, mm, did you already discuss mental disorders and reptilians? No, I haven't, because so let me just talk to them, and also what I've already heard from them, because mental illness affects um, all of us. Um, Narcissism is generally affects more reptilians, and narcissism, sociopathy, um, what is it called? Psychopathy, being a psychopath, the dark triad. Um, but all of us, depending on genetics and depending on what we agreed upon when we come here, could be, like bipolar. Um, bipolar is their flavor. Um, Actual true bipolar um, is not just reptilian. That's something that is genetic, and it's something that can affect all groups. Um, the way that it's dealt with could be different for reptilians. A lot of starseeds who are bipolar, unfortunately, um, take themselves out. A lot of star seeds that have mental illness take themselves out because it's already hard enough for them to be sensitive and be a star seed, not fitting in, with the extra added mental illness. It's just that more challenging. And a lot of people with mental illness aren't treated very well, and that's really, really hard on a star seed. Like a lot of star seeds don't make it. But the erratic, the I think some of the layman's ideas of how people act if they're part of that dark, is it triad, dark triad, um, can seem like mental illness. And it's actually, Jesus is saying it's just evil. Triad, yes. Schizophrenia too. That's across the board. Um, but the way a reptilian is going to handle it, opposed to a starseed, is going to be different. And I want to remind you all too that starseeds can go through a lot of challenges too, and we're not perfect, and sometimes we can um, get very frustrated and actually act like reptilians in order just to survive. But yeah, schizophrenia. If people are raised by narcissists or they're in a narcissistic group, they are also more likely to deny mental illness, and so you've got to think about combinations too, guys, because sometimes people are taken over by a dark reptilian energy. So that's just going to exacerbate their schizophrenia. That's going to exacerbate their bipolar and have a different effect on them. Um, because unfortunately, mental illness causes a trauma, and any sort of trauma that you have opens that door to the dark reptilian energy to feed off of you, if that makes sense. Like if you do genetically suffer from depression, you will be more prone to that dark reptilian negativity feeding off of you. Whereas a star seed, especially a star seed that has help, that can get on the right medication, that has a positive influence, or is being talked to strongly. Like I've been talked to, I do have an advantage. Ever since I was a baby, I've had positive spirits talking to me. Now I have had spiritual attacks. I have had dark reptilian energy do negative things to me, say negative things to me, try to get me off of my path. And it has worked sometimes. But fortunately for me, I have this positive base that I've had since I was a child. And I will talk about this on another time, guys. I've been taken, I've had near death experiences, I've been taken on the ship, I've astral traveled my entire life, I've talked to Jesus. So what does Jesus think of first responders who are always around negative PTSD experiences? What advice does he have? Okay, so um first of all, you have to decide if you're strong enough to do that work. A lot of people who are a bridge between star seeds and positive help and health and negative reptilian energy are mixed. They might be part star seed and part reptilian. And sometimes, guys, if you're 100% star seed and it's not tall white, it's like Pleiadian, Arcturian. Some of you might not. That might not be the area for you to work in, to be continually traumatized. That might not that might not be the field for you. Um, Jay, you've seen Jesus as a child too. That's yeah. We have an advantage because that will always stay with us, but also a responsibility. Like I've was terrified to sort of come out and tell people I've had this experience because um, a lot of people think that I'm crazy. So, oh, you would love to hear about my adventures. I should tell you guys about my adventures. I mean, yeah, actually, if you look in my old videos, I have made a few videos about my spiritual experiences, but I really need to remake them because Jesus has given me more information and sort of filled in the blanks. My memories were a little bit fuzzy, but CHAG, I have so many stories. I have so many spiritual stories of things that have happened to me. Um, just so many wild experiences. And even experiences that have affected other people who have been around me. But yeah, I'll have to do that. Where are we at? 105. Okay, I can feel the energy dropping. I think this is enough for today. If you guys have any more questions, I will. Okay, I've got to get to. Let me see here. Go back. James Arthur, Alyssa, I promise you, I'm going to write that down, and then I will talk about that next week, okay? Do you guys have any more questions, comments, concerned? Yes, I saw him. He had a beautiful energy. Oh, the work of being a fireman. Being a fireman is Jesus considers that to be an earth angel. So your husband is an earth angel, um, taking a toll, seeing all the death. So Jesus is saying, if you want to tell your husband, and I know this might sound like a crazy concept, but we can change careers. Um, I know it's a crazy concept in America too, but it might be time for him to change careers. He could do something else in fire. He can, there's that. Um, there's all kinds of degrees people have in, you can be like an OSHA inspector or a fire inspector. Um, but Jay, it's really hard, especially for an earth angel, which Jesus is saying your husband is an earth angel. It's very, very hard for them to change careers. Um, it's changing their identity. But if you could maybe, talk to him and tell him you would support it. And, a good thing for people who are very solid earth angel people, um, a good thing that you can, when you approach the subject, a good thing that you can say to him is, hey, why don't you try something else? And if you don't like it, you could go back to being a firefighter. Um, so yeah, your husband's an earth angel. I'm just reading your comment over again. Um, so I would try to talk to him again. Um, let him know it's a short life. And we really weren't not most of us were not meant to do the same thing. Even if we're good at it, we need change. And that's very American, and other countries too. But it's something that is in our culture. Is like once we've trained for something, to stay in the same field. And Jesus is saying he is good at what he does, but he could do something else in the field. And when you're stuck in that, it's very, very hard, especially for men, to break out of what they're doing. Um, so yeah, I'm sure it's been crazy. And Jay, I have talked on this channel, and there has been a movement I was given the information around 2020 that there is a movement around setting, I don't want to use the word, but setting fires purposely. And it goes in hand with other movements. Some of it is gang related. It's a form of vandalism. It's a form of, committing crimes. But there have been many that are set on purpose. And even in many areas that are naturally prone to fires, like out west, many of those have been set. So, um, each person can only do so much. We are up against the dark reptilian spirit that's putting the ideas in people. And, when we go back to mental illness, they're being negatively influenced. Gang members are. Um, People who do substances are, when they're on a substance, you are considered mentally ill by spirit, and you are allowing the reptilian energy to, you're inviting it in as if it's like you're opening up your house to a vampire. Um, yeah, I mean, we do have dry areas, but guys, my spiritual team says a lot of the fires are being set. A lot of, if you look at my when I made predictions in 2020, 2021, I talked a lot about explosions. There are a lot of purpose explosions being done purposely. There's a lot of crazy things that are being done by people here on purpose. Fireworks being used as weapons. Fire has become a big gang thing. All these movements that you see, like carjackings and things like that. Fire has been a part of that. You know, Jesus is talking about like how that that video game GTA, like there's fire and explosions in that. We're seeing that whole game acted out because some of these young kids have been targeted, and that's I'm going to get more into that too with my next George Soros video part 2. But anyway, guys, I'm getting hoarse. I've been talking for a long time, so I'm really going to wrap it up. And I just want to say thank you all for joining me. And I know I was all over the place, but Spirit had a lot to say. So I'm just going to say bye now. All right. Bye, you guys. Thank you. I love you guys. Spirit loves you. Let's thank my spiritual team. And if you guys get a chance, pray to them, thank them, ask them to talk to you. All right. Bye. Bye, Danielle. Bye, Jay. Bye, Seahag.